Hello and welcome to the FI Newscast, where we bring you relevant news in the food and beverage industry. I'm Susan Choi, and I thank you for watching. Today is Friday, June 22nd, 2023. We have a great show for you today. Our special guest is Christina Dorr Drake, CEO and co-founder of Willa's Organic Oat Milk. It'll be a great conversation detailing her experiences in the alternative dairy market. But first, let's cover some of the top stories from this week so far. Some noteworthy items to report on Walmart. The retail giant has its eyes set on two big developments. First, it recently opened its largest fulfillment center to date just outside of Indianapolis. It's a 2.2 million square foot next generation facility, and its purpose is to raise its game in next day and 2-day shipping orders. Walmart says it's just one of 4 new next generation fulfillment centers that will allow itself to reach up to 95% of the U.S. population for those quick shipments. In addition, Walmart announced plans to open a new case-ready beef facility in Kansas in 2025. The new facility is part of a larger strategy to create an end-to-end Angus beef supply chain and is expected to create 600 new jobs. The company plans to break ground later this year. In the M&A world, a little-known company takes on the American cheese industry. French business group 𝗟𝗲𝘁 plans to expand in Chicago after a $3.2 billion acquisition of multiple cheese brands from Kraft Heinz. The company has been quietly growing its presence in the U.S. for the past few years, first completing the agreement of sale for the brands in 2020, and since then working on the various department transitions surrounding the deal. 𝗟𝗲𝘁 plans to hire close to 100 new employees in its new Chicago offices over the next year. In consumer news, people seem to be saving up in one area to spend in another. A recently released report by Yelp shows that more Americans are venturing into fine dining more than in pre-pandemic times. This conclusion is based on the rise of views in Yelp restaurant pages and reviews of higher-end restaurants. New restaurant listings are also up 10% from the previous year. It's keeping in line with the apparent downward trend of home cooking. The Bureau of Economic Analysis found that the rate of purchases for groceries has been steadily declining over the past few months. Shoppers may be trying to save money to eat out more often, and the evidence is there. InMarket has found that dollar store visits have increased 4% year over year, and households with 6-figure incomes are 15% more likely to shop at dollar stores than last year. Going more into the realm of fine dining, the spotlight is on South America. The organization World's 50 Best has just named Central Restaurant in Lima, Peru, as the world's best restaurant. Chef Virgilio Martinez developed its tasting menu to feature dishes including ingredients sourced from Peru. The city of Lima had 3 other restaurants make it to the prestigious lineup, with 2 of them in the top 10. Industry experts say that recognitions such as this lead to a wealth of reservation bookings. And finally, J.M. Smucker is winning big on the convenience factor. The company says its Uncrustable sandwich line is a major reason for the boost in its net sales. Numbers increased by 43% recently. The closed-end sandwiches are a staple of school lunchboxes across the country, and more units are turning up in briefcases and purses as well. CFO Tucker Marshall told the Wall Street Journal that it has continuing plans to promote the line, as it has just launched itself in Canada and will continue to focus on the away-from-home sector as well. The company is also exploring new flavor options. Meat, egg, and cheese Uncrustables, anyone? And those are your top stories. We're going to turn now to our special guest. She is the CEO and co-founder of Willa's Organic Oat Milk, a company dedicated to producing high-quality oat milk based on her grandmother's recipe. Her goal is to break through the plant-based dairy industry with a product that does not compromise on taste, quality, or the manufacturing process. Our own CEO and managing partner, Brian Choi, got to chat with her about her insights in the alternative dairy category and her experiences running this company. Let's take a look.
All right. Well, Christina, welcome to the Food Institute program. We're going to go straight into the questions here. Super excited to learn more about you and Willa's Oat Milk, and ultimately to learn about the story of your brand. So, Christina, why don't we start off? Please share a little bit about your background and how you ended up in your current role at Willa's.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. I come from an agency background. I worked in brand strategy and business strategy looking at, the intersection between a business opportunity, the target audience, and where culture was headed, which in many ways was the perfect training ground for becoming an entrepreneur. It was also a health nut, and I was a plant-based milk drinker for most of my life. My grandmother used to make oat milk, and we just couldn't understand why there weren't more options available like her recipe. It was super creamy and delicious, using real organic ingredients that you could recognize, like vanilla extract and sea salt. And so we wanted to bring her recipe to the world. And then as we got further and further down the entrepreneurial path, we kept learning more and more things about this category, about the plant-based milk category, that just did not align with our values and didn't live up to our grandmother's name. And one of those is that there's a lot of food waste involved in making plant-based milks. A lot of times oat milks have a ton of sugar, and the reason for that is they're just using the oat sugar and discarding some of the healthier parts of the oat material. So we knew there had to be a better way to do it, a more honest way, a more sustainable way. And so we figured out how to use the whole entire oat, which gives Willa's this really rich, creamy taste, and also makes it lower in sugar, higher in protein and fiber, and means that no part of the oat is wasted. Nothing good is wasted, and it's a lot more sustainable as well.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And I want to take a step back here and get your thoughts on the overall plant-based milk category. As you and I know, there's been a huge rise in people consuming plant-based milk, from almond milk and other forms. Talk to us a little bit about the evolution of the plant-based milk category, and ultimately where kind of oat milk as a general category stands. And we'll definitely get into the nuances of Willa's in the next question. But please share your views on that.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this shift across the board in behavior toward eating more plant-based, trying to eat just more plants in general, have more of that take up room on your plate. And with that, we've also seen just an explosion in the plant-based milk category. Suddenly we've gone from having very few options to a lot more options, which I think is amazing, because it is one of the easiest ways to add more, plants to your diet and add more, of the kind of wholesome ingredients that everybody's trying to find ways to incorporate. I think equally it's important to note that most of the world is lactose intolerant, myself included. And so, there was a time when, you really only had a couple of options. You went to a coffee shop and you were lucky if they had even soy milk or anything at all. And now it's so exciting to have so many choices, and to be able to, as a consumer, have choices that taste good and also give you the plant-based benefits that you're seeking by having a more plant-based diet. I think what's also interesting is, in the plant-based category, plant-based milk is the biggest part of it. It's over a third of the category when you look at creamers and plant-based milk, and it's the fastest growing part. And I think, again, that's that combination of people looking for something if they can't digest milk, or if they're wanting to eat more plants for either health reasons or environmental reasons, and just having easy access to it, and making it just super simple swap from dairy. In the case of oat milk, it's really interesting because, there's just been this meteoric rise in the last few years. And I think there are a bunch of reasons for that. For one, almonds, it's pretty well known at this point that they are very thirsty. They are soaking up California's water supply. That hasn't been as big of an issue this year, but in past years with the drought, that's been a huge issue. They're also heavily sprayed with pesticides that are affecting bee populations. So a lot of people are looking for something to switch to. And, there's also a lot of, people who have allergies to nuts. So oats are fantastic because they are allergen free. They're far less resource intensive than nut milks. And oats are a cover crop, so they're good for soil health. In the case of organic oats, they're really good for soil health, and they're also carbon sequesters, which actively pull carbon out of the atmosphere and put it back into the earth where it belongs. And then from a taste standpoint, oat milk is super neutral. If you want to have it with coffee, you're not imparting a strong coconut flavor or almond flavor. You're allowing the coffee to really shine and be the hero. And I think, that in particular, that combination of being just a really rich, creamy consistency and one that doesn't impart a strong flavor has been just a huge part of oat milk doing really, really well in food service in particular.
Well, that's great. I'm a fan of oat milk. I've tried oat milk in a number of different forms, and so out of the plant-based milk alternatives, oat milk is definitely my number one choice. I want to delve into the positioning of Willa's. So you mentioned a few different things that Willa's uses the whole oat and is more healthy for consumers. Can you give us your perspective on Willa's and how that stacks up with some of the the incumbents in the space like Oatly?
When we started and we first wanted to, create this brand and bring my grandmother's recipe to the world, we really didn't know if people were going to move in the same direction we were. Cleaner ingredients, organic, less sugar. And it was a risk. We didn't know if this category and the demand would move in the direction that the Impossible Burger did, which is, no animal products, but not particularly clean or healthy either. And what has happened is the consumer has really followed us. And that has been a big piece of why retail buyers really love Willa's. For the person who is coming into the milk aisle and is looking for something with clean ingredients and or organic and or less sugar that also tastes really good, there really aren't that many options. And if they don't find something that tastes good and checks the boxes, they aren't going to purchase. So what we've seen is Willa's doesn't cannibalize the category. Instead, it expands it and pulls people who are skeptical of the ingredients that they're seeing in the plant-based milk aisle and pulls them back into the category.
Well, that sounds amazing. And for those that are interested in knowing about the price point of Willa's compared to some of the other competitors, can you share with us what that differential is and what the expectation is going forward?
Sure. I mean, Willa's is a premium brand. We use organic ingredients. In the case of our chocolate oat milk, we use single origin Peruvian cacao and maple sugar. We're very, very intentional about our sourcing. Right now, most grocery stores are selling Willa's for $7.99, sometimes $6.99. And, it is priced at a premium. And that's part of the reason why we have launched in stores where, consumers are used to a higher price point. Our competition is frequently $1 or $2 less. What we are working to do is continue with economies of scale and continuous improvement to become a more and more accessible price point. But right now, you'll find it for $6.99 or $7.99. And then if you sign up for a subscription on 𝗟𝗲𝘁'𝗀𝗃 or Amazon and you're buying it by the 6-pack, you'll find a better value there.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll have more with Christina Dorr Drake of Willa's Organic Oat Milk when we come back. Stay with us. We are back, and we've been watching an interview between Food Institute's CEO and Managing Partner Brian Choi and Christina Dorr Drake, CEO and co-founder of Willa's Organic Oat Milk. Let's continue watching.
Where can consumers find Willa's in stores? So is it national? Is it regional? Share with us a little bit about where you currently have the product.
Sure. Willa's it's in most urban areas. So if we just go across the country, here in New York, Willa's is in Union Market, soon to be Citarella. It's in Foxtrot in Washington, D.C. It's in Moms throughout the Mid-Atlantic. If we go to the Midwest, Willa's is in Foxtrot there as well. A ton of co-ops throughout Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois. And then on the West Coast, Willa's is at, 𝗟𝗲𝘂, Berkeley Bowl, a lot of the kind of premium natural grocers. And that's really where we started, because we're at a premium price point and, we're using all organic, wholesome ingredients.
Well, that sounds great. And I want to touch upon the growth journey of Willa's. You started the company along with some of your co-founders a couple of years ago. Talk to us a little bit about the journey of starting a brand from scratch. We represent a lot of entrepreneurs, food and beverage alike, that want to do the same thing, or they're currently in the day-to-day grind of building a brand. Talk to us a little bit about some of the great successes and also some of the challenges that you faced in building Willa's.
Oh my goodness, we faced so many challenges. In terms of successes, I think one of the big ones was figuring out how to redesign the way that oat milk is made. And, we just did a big customer survey. We did a survey of over 300 of our email subscribers. And, the health elements and the sustainable elements are very important to them. But what I think is always amazing is every time we do research, we find that the number one reason people are buying Willa's is because of the taste. And I think that really speaks to the intention of our team, which is to always do tons of customer research with kids, with adults, with people who are squarely in our target and people who are just outside of it. And to make sure that before we launch any product, that it really nails it on taste. And that's been a big piece, I think, of why we've done so well at the shelf. Generally, people pick us up because of the ingredients and the nutrition label, but they keep repeat purchasing because they love the taste. In terms of setbacks and challenges, 2020 was, I think, tough for every founder, every entrepreneur. We felt like we were just getting hit on all sides. We had spent the previous year and a half building relationships with office places and coffee shops and going all in on a food service strategy. And we were meant to launch that strategy in spring of 2020. So, we got completely blindsided when the pandemic hit and the shutdown began and, continued. And in many ways, that ended up becoming a blessing in disguise, because it forced us to get into retail, it forced us to think about Amazon and create a far more differentiated foundation for the business, and also forced us to learn a lot more quickly, right? Because you get different insights from different channels. The other thing that really blindsided us and completely threw the whole team for a loop is in January of 2020, with no risk factors or family history. At 36 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and thankfully caught it very early and had the most curable kind. But going through the early stages of the pandemic, I was going through chemo and radiation, lumpectomy surgery. Thankfully, I am cancer-free, and I had an amazing response to treatment, which means it's unlikely to come back. But I was going through chemo when we were starting our business, and that was insane. Of course, I would not want to go through it again. It also allowed me to grow in ways that I never would have otherwise. And one of the things that I gained from that was this perspective on really the importance of, as an entrepreneur, taking care of yourself, because that is the only way that you'll be able to be there for your team, for your brand, for your customers, for your fans, for investors, everyone. And, when I was going through cancer treatment, I thought, I want to take an active role in this. And every day I'm going to work out and, eat mostly plant-based and do the things that make me feel good and are going to get me through this. And then I realized, why am I only giving myself permission to carve out time to work out every day and meditate and, do all these things because I'm going through cancer treatment? This should just be the status quo. And so I think from that, I really learned how important it is to carve out that time every day so that you don't burn out as an entrepreneur.
Well, that's amazing. That's inspirational, Christina. Just to go through the personal battles, but also, the Herculean task of starting and building and growing a company. That is just amazing. So congrats to the success, and you're really happy to hear that from a health perspective, you're in a better place. So looking out 2023, 2024, what are some key milestones that you're looking to achieve this year? We represent a lot of different types of food and beverage companies, large and small alike. We represent investors, small and large. So tell us a little bit about the expectation and your key targets for the next 2 years.
Yeah, when we started Willa's, we were very careful about retail. We were very concerned because we just wanted to make sure that wherever we went on shelf, we could win and we would win. And because of the pandemic, we ended up launching in retail sooner than we were anticipating. That experience taught us a lot. It made us realize how hard our packaging is working for us by just standing out at shelf and creating this visual pause with our color blocking. And with that, we're seeing a lot of transformational growth on the retail side. So we've got some big goals on that side of the business for this year. And then at food service, we've launched our barista product, which we had been fine-tuning for quite some time with champion baristas, coffee masters, Michelin-starred chefs, just to make sure it wasn't just the healthiest and most sustainable barista oat milk, but also the tastiest and the best for steaming. And we have some really exciting partnerships coming up on the coffee shop side of things and on the food service side of things, both in restaurant settings and cafe settings as well as in offices. So we are we're really excited to be at this point in the business and to be seeing this kind of momentum. We're also fundraising to support it all, but equally really working to get to a point where the business is sustainable and cash flow efficient, and just making sure that we're creating the strongest foundation for the business possible. We really see Willa's as an opportunity to just demonstrate that businesses can be super profitable and super successful and healthy and sustainable, and also live up to their mission and their values.
Well, those are words that many founders would love to say, and to see you kind of lead the helm of this amazing growth opportunity at Willa's is definitely something we want to share with the Food Institute audience. Christina, thank you so much for spending time with the Food Institute. You're CEO, you're co-founder of Willa's Oat Milk. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Food Institute CEO and Managing Partner Brian Choi speaking with Christina Dorr Drake, CEO and co-founder of Willa's Organic Oat Milk. Our thanks to them both for that great conversation. Before we go, we're going to take a look at what's coming up in the food industry in the coming days. On June 27th at 10 a.m., the Conference Board will release the latest numbers on consumer confidence. And in less than 48 hours from June 25th to the 27th, FI will team up with the Specialty Food Association to provide live stream coverage of the 67th Annual Summer Fancy Food Show. From key interviews with significant figures in the food industry to on-the-ground reporting at the show with hundreds of new and innovative products on display, this production is one you will not want to miss. Stay tuned to foodinstitute.com and our social media platforms for more information. And that's our show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Susan Choi, and I want to let you know that there will be no newscast on June 30th, but we will be back in action July 6th, when our guest will be Alison Boder, President and CEO of the American Frozen Food Institute. I also want to remind you to show us some love on social media. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channels. The support really makes a difference for us. Thanks again for watching. Have a great weekend and take care.